one of our four-day series back on Track Bootcamp. I've got something good at the end for you guys as well. I've got our all new free meal plan. It's one of my favorites. You can get that sent to your inbox. I'll share the link at the end. I've got lots of good tips and tricks to help you with eating healthy consistently and to be able to stay on track with it. If you're like how I was for a long time and how I occasionally am when I get off track, you'll start eating well, and then within a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you fall off track because it's just too hard. It's different from your normal routine, and that's so common. Getting away from that normal routine, the bad habits we're in, so hard unless you're really mindful of it, and unless you have tips and tricks like this to put in place and to really focus on. So I want you to, if this is part of your goal, to eat better, eat cleaner, whatever that is for you, to change up your diet, I want you to really pay attention for at least the next 21 days, even the next month. Really put extra effort into it. And then after that, generally it becomes more of a habit. If you have friends that you think would find this useful, if you want to share this to your page as well, I would really appreciate it. My plan with this 4-day series was to give you guys really useful, practical information that you can get started with right away. So day one is all about meal planning. Why I find that so helpful when I don't, also when I don't meal plan, how things so easily fall off track. So this is kind of like step one. This is my number one thing to sticking with eating healthy. So watch till the end for your all new free meal plan, and it also includes the shopping list, everything you need. So if you want to take all the guesswork out of it for this week getting started, if you want to just open that up, have everything laid out for you, go ahead and do that. And there's a shopping list with each of those. There's also a prep guide at the end. So this is from our Mom or Charged method, or Mom or Charged membership, I should say. This is what our meal plans look like. So the first step with meal planning, set out a certain time each week. Ideally set out the same time. I usually like to do Sunday mornings, either Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings. Get up with my cup of coffee, the kids are playing, hopefully they're kind of leaving me alone for a little while, and I plan out my meals. So if you're in the membership, have a look at the membership, pick if you want to do that meal plan or if you want to do one of the other meal plans. If you're not in the membership, this video series is going to be really helpful for you as well, because I'm going to share, even if you're not in the membership, all the different tips and tricks for eating healthy. So to start off, try to schedule in a day, keep that kind of regular, and then you're less likely to forget about doing your meal plan. So kind of get in a routine with that. So let's say every Sunday morning, you're going to sit down. You're either going to just grab a notebook, a blank piece of paper. You can do a blank calendar. I generally will just do like a blank notepad. I find that fairly easy. And then I would just write out. So I take an entire sheet of paper, write out Monday through Sunday on it, leaving space in between. So you can do it like that, or you can even look on Pinterest and get print off like a meal planner calendar. My printer seems to always be out of ink, so that's why if I'm not doing the membership plans, then I just write it down on paper. So a blank calendar or a weekly planner. If you are just planning out your suppers, then a calendar is fine. If you're planning out snacks, breakfast, lunches, then you probably want an entire page of just the 7 days, because you'll need that extra space. And then I'll mention for the Mom or Charged membership, if you're in there, I've taken all that work out of it for you. Every Friday morning, you get emailed our brand new meal plan, so that if you want to order on Superstore Click and Collect, sometimes I'll do this routine. Friday night, I'll order my groceries from the shopping list that's done on Superstore Click and Collect, and then it's ready to go for Saturday. I go and pick it up on Saturday. Either on Saturday or Sunday, then I'll do a little bit of prep. So I break that up where it's like Friday is, it's only a few minutes each day and it's less overwhelming. You could do it all on Sunday if you wanted to, but this is another good way to do it. So Friday you're ordering, especially if you like to order your groceries, you usually have to do it like the day before. Order your groceries, Saturday you pick it up, and then Sunday you can spend a little bit of time. I spend anywhere from half an hour to do some prep for that week. anywhere from up to 2 hours. I actually have in the membership, we've got some plans that are a meal prep program. So you prep pretty much everything for that week. So that's when I'm really intense with it. Usually it's about half an hour of prep. And that's going to be on day 3. I'm going to dive more into meal prep and what I do and what that looks like. I'll probably bring you into my kitchen as well. Now we're going to dive into some planning tips. So let's say you've got your piece of paper, your calendar. Plan on, I find it's best to plan on 4 to 5 dinners. So this is what I start with, is the suppers. I find it's not great to plan out 7 different suppers. Everyone's different, but I find with being a busy mom, I know a lot of you guys are busy moms, 4 to 5 seems to work out great. Start with that. Look up 4 to 5 suppers that you want to try out this week. Do some favorites that you know and love. Maybe you want to throw in a couple brand new ones. In our Mom or Charge membership, I generally do, the meal plans are generally 5 to 7 day plans, but often some of those are leftovers. So it generally is about 4 to 5 brand new suppers in there. So I find that's big. If you're planning out 7, like I don't want to be making a brand new meal every night. I like to make a supper and then the next night either sort of repurposing it into a slightly different meal or just having leftovers again. Sometimes we'll also utilize our supper to, we'll do leftovers for lunch the next day to make that easier. So the supper that night turns into leftovers for lunch the next day. So you can still do on your calendar Monday through Sunday, and then some of the suppers you just write in leftovers or free night. I also like doing free nights sometimes because you might just, you might be eating out sometimes. You might see that you've got a whole bunch of something left in your fridge. Maybe you've got a bunch of vegetables left. Maybe you have some chicken left over. So you can just do a stir fry or something, something really easy. So I like having that flexibility and those free nights in there. So either full plan or supper plan. So when you're planning out your weekly meal plan, decide what will work better for you. Sometimes in the past, before I had the membership, I would just do a supper plan. So that's my main focus for myself. Where like, what's your problem area? Is suppers for me? That's often where I easily get off track if I'm not planning the suppers. So that's most important for me. So start with that. Start with a focus on a supper plan. If you want to do the full plan, like if you're really wanting to change a lot of habits, you really want to have that structure, then do a full plan. So that would be starting with the suppers, the 4 to 5 dinners. Start with that. Then from there, maybe you want to look at your breakfasts, or actually from suppers, can you use those suppers? Can you make lunches easier and utilize leftovers for lunch? Other ideas for lunches are a salad that I eat for a few days. So I'd make a salad up on one day and eat that for 2 to 3 days, and you make that up. And that's actually in the meal plan, the free meal plan that I'm sharing with you at the end. That's what I've done with, I think it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's like a BLT salad. So it's got lots of nourishing, like healthy fats to keep you satisfied, like boiled eggs, the bacon, things like that. And then we are prepping, so you're spending like half an hour at the most in the kitchen and you're making 3 lunches. Often, like I said, we'll do leftovers for lunch. Another idea is to do up a batch of soup, and I do that often in the membership meal plans. I'll do a batch of soup, and that can last you for 2 to 3 days. And if it's a big batch, you can even freeze some of it so it's easy for like the next week to bring it out. Then breakfast. Breakfast, I like to use the same breakfast quite often. So often I will do just like 2 to 3 different breakfasts in that week. If you already have a go-to healthy breakfast, feel free to do that pretty much every morning. It's been reported that the less decision-making you have to do in the morning, the better off you are. So if you can keep things as streamlined as possible, there's such a thing as decision-making fatigue and willpower fatigue. So if starting your morning in the first hour of waking up, you're looking at the fridge and you're trying to figure out, what am I going to eat? Like, I'm trying to eat healthy. I don't know what I'm going to eat. That's already utilizing some of your willpower already for the day. So one, we're using that in already creating your meal plan. If you already know, if you already have that written out, what you're going to have for breakfast that day, then you're good. 2, if you are keeping your breakfast similar or the same every day or every couple days, then you're better off doing that. And then with snacks, snacks can sometimes derail me with my healthy eating, so I put a focus on that as well. So at the start of the week, I will look at usually our membership meal plan and see what snack, there's usually 1 or 2 snacks where it's make ahead, or even you make it that day. So I recommend preparing 1 or 2 things like bars or seed crackers or healthier muffins like paleo muffins or something like that. So it's nice to have, especially I love in the afternoon, having something like a healthier muffin or the seed crackers. Or even in the evening, I like a little bit of carbs. I sometimes struggle. Ideally, I would have supper and then I wouldn't have anything to eat until the next morning. But I think a lot of moms want a little bit of carbs in the evening. And I find sometimes if I try to go without eating after supper, then it's like 10 o'clock, I can't sleep, I'm hungry, and then I just go and eat like all the carbs. So I like to prepare 1 or 2 things that would be either a good like afternoon snack or a good evening snack. And often I'll throw that in the freezer too, and you can even double up that recipe. So I'm going to be sharing more tips like that later on in the week. But for snacks, 1 or 2 things that you actually maybe take some time and you prepare it. So if you want to do that on Sunday, then that's really helpful. And then the rest of the snacks, try to keep them simple. So some other ideas for snacks, like smoothies, green smoothies, just like creamy, more like delicious smoothies can still be healthy. So those are quick. If you've got a good blender, you can do that up within 5 minutes. You can have a smoothie for a snack. Other ideas are veggies with hummus, veggies with guacamole. You can even do veggies with like gluten-free crackers or seed crackers. So those are pretty quick and easy. Fruit with even just a plain piece of fruit, or fruit with some nut butter, like apple and nut butter, things like that. So don't get too complex with your snacks. Like I said, have 1 or 2 things that are like a really nice snack that you prepared ahead of time, and then the rest of them have it planned out where it's just kind of easy things. Sometimes we try to really limit the processed foods and eat mostly whole foods. But I think that one of the snacks this week in this meal plan that I'm sharing is a rice cake, like a plain rice cake with nut butter, either peanut butter or almond butter, and then sliced apples on top, or the rice cake with guacamole and boiled egg on top. So even stuff like that, it's a little bit more filling, a little bit more satisfying than just like fruit or fruit and nut butter, but it's still really healthy. Especially I don't stress too much about the rice cake. It's minimal ingredients. It's a little bit processed, but if the rest of the plan is clean, then that's still good. Even things like trail mix. So you can buy the trail mix. Try to buy raw nuts and seeds versus the ones that are fried in oils. Usually those oils aren't very good quality. And then you can make your own little trail mixes too. Or you can just do that up super quick within 5 minutes at snack time. And I also make sure I do snacks that my kids like. If it's a snack that my daughter's really picky, so she doesn't love all the healthy snacks that I make. So sometimes I'll make one of those at the same time for them. So go-to breakfast and snacks. So we just talked about that. Utilizing leftovers is so important. I mentioned that a little bit. So with the planning 4 to 5 dinners, I really like to only cook every second night, like I mentioned. Lunches, I love to use leftovers for lunches. Makes it so much easier. Make it easier. So batch cook extra for the next meal. So these things make it a lot easier as well. So if you're starting a healthy eating journey, you're trying to eat better, you're changing some of your habits, but it's just way too overwhelming, it's way too much work, you're not going to follow through. So that's why it's so important to make it easier on yourself as much as possible. So that is a huge focus on my meal plans when I do a meal plan for myself, or when I do the meal plans for the membership. So don't have too complex recipes that are going to take forever, that require tons of ingredients, is one. Another one, big one, is batch cooking. So if I'm doing like a paleo lasagna, or even if I'm just cooking ground beef. So if sometimes my husband will go to Costco. I know ideally I'd get my beef from like a local farmer. Sometimes we'll go to Costco and get like the big trays of ground beef. And so he likes to do the Costco shopping. He'll bring that home, and instead of dividing it up into freezer bags, and then when I have a meal that uses ground beef, I have to thaw it, then I have to cook it. Sometimes I'll take a couple big frying pans, throw all of that ground beef in the frying pan, cook it all up. Sometimes I'll add like a taco seasoning if I know that week I'm doing sort of like taco dishes, Mexican dishes. Usually I'll just leave it plain, let it cool. Some of it stays out for like that night's meal or the next night's meal in the fridge, but a lot of it will go into the freezer. So I'll put it into like the medium-sized freezer bag. So let it cool completely. Usually I'll put it in the freezer bags, keep it open, let it cool in the fridge so it's not still hot. Once it's cooled, seal it up, throw it in the freezer. Try to lay it flat, spread out flat. So if you do just want a little bit of ground beef, say with a salad, or say you want some ground chicken or chicken breast that's cooked, then you can just open up that freezer bag, take out a little bit, warm it up, and then you're good to go. So that's really helpful, I've found. And then the other one is cooking extra for the next meal. So you'll notice in this free meal plan at the end that you can grab, there is, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's ground beef. So I think it's taco night is one night, and then there's I should bring it up. I'll bring it up after. So then it's a soup. It's a minestrone soup with beef. So the first night when you're doing the taco night, you'll notice that the prep guide at the end of all of our meal plans, I have a prep guide. So you can make notes for if you're doing your own meal plan, you can make notes for yourself and sort of plan it out like that. So if you've got if you're doing 2 ground beef dishes, plan those out back to back, as long as you don't mind having beef a couple nights in a row. That makes it so much easier. So back to that example. So when we're doing taco night, I'm having you cook all of your ground beef for that week. And so then you're having your tacos that night, your healthier tacos. And then the next night you are doing a soup. And part of that soup prep is browning your ground beef before. So that step's already done for you. You have that in the fridge already, or in the freezer if you're doing it a couple of days later. So that soup is going to be so easy for you. Otherwise, if you're working or even a stay-at-home mom, you're busy with kids all day, or you're working, you get home at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, you might not feel like making an entire soup. You just want to throw in something that's going to be quicker. So those things are huge. If you can structure that into your plan, be mindful of that as you're planning out your meals. So I use the example of ground beef. So chicken's another idea. If you're doing a chicken dish the one night, and then the next night and then say you have another chicken dish, if you put those kind of back to back. If you don't do it back to back, if it's say Monday night you're doing a chicken dish, and then Friday you're doing another chicken dish that has chicken breasts, cook it all on Monday, cool half of it, freeze it, and then that's already cooked for Friday or Saturday or whatever. So I try to do that, especially in our Mama Charge method. I'll just mention that real quick. That's coming up January 21st, our 4-week program. That I've done with so many things. It makes it so simple for 4 weeks. I've structured it all like that, so you're not spending that much time in the kitchen. So what to put on it? So like I said, start with your suppers. So when you're starting out, say it's Sunday morning and you're doing your meal plan, start with your suppers. So I mentioned that already. Your first focus is, you might think, okay, where do I start? Like, how am I going to create this meal plan? I like to start with meats, and meatless nights. So I try to do at least one meatless night. If you like meatless nights, do that even more. There's a lot of benefit in some meatless nights. I find I do well. Everyone's different, but I find a lot of people do well with some meat. But it's also nice to give your digestion a little bit of a break. Meats can be a little bit hard to digest. And also, I find those meatless nights a little bit easier to prepare when you don't have to thaw the meat and cook it up and then do all the rest. Doing some meatless proteins in there is nice. So start with that. So have a look. So I'd say 1 or 2 chicken dishes. I usually do some sort of beef dish. Sometimes we'll do a fish dish. I know not everybody loves seafood, so in the membership, we don't always have a seafood dish. If we do, then I give an alternative that you can do this recipe, but do chicken or something. So if you like seafood, try to fit that in at least once a week. So chicken, beef, some sort of seafood, a meatless night, and then that covers your 4 right there. Sometimes I'll do a couple chicken dishes, a couple beef dishes. Occasionally we'll do pork, and then themes. So you're starting with, so Sunday morning, your meal plan, write out your days. You got your, maybe write down your different meats, and then this will help you to search for recipes. So then you might want to add in themes. So for myself, in the method program, our forward program coming up on the 21st, every weekend, I believe it's every Saturday, or you can choose every Sunday, we have like either a slow cooker, so like a chili or a stew or a soup. So that's one night, and that usually covers us. I love those for weekends because you just pop it in the slow cooker. Say it's Saturday morning, you throw it in the slow cooker, make a huge batch, and that can cover you for like Saturday. If you've got a busy weekend, especially, that can cover you for a couple days, like lunch the next day or supper on Sunday. Or if you're not, if you did a huge batch, you've got extras, you can freeze it, and then you've got some easy meals the next week. So that's my favorite, is adding in a slow cooker or a big soup or a big stew or something like that. So that's one theme. Different themes are, if you want to do this, it can start to make it too complex. If you do, say, Tuesday is like Mexican night. If you like Thai food, you can do like a Thai night. You can do Italian. I love to do more of the slow cooker soup thing. I like to try to fit that in there more. We do mix it up with different flavors, especially in the membership, with like, I love Mexican, I love Thai, all that. So we try to add those in lots and switch that up a little bit. The next is easy recipes, minimal ingredients. So that's another big thing in my own meal planning, in the membership meal planning, is simple ingredients. So there's a few that'll have a few more ingredients, but for the most part, it's very minimal ingredients. So for example, in this meal plan that I'm sharing with you, and we made this just a couple nights ago in our house, is, what is it called? Zucchini noodle, I don't know how to say this, bolognese. So it's like a tomato meat sauce with zucchini noodles. If you don't have a zucchini noodle maker, you can use just a mandolin or just a vegetable peeler, or you can just chop up your zucchini and it's still a delicious meal. But anyways, so this recipe has like 4 ingredients. It's got the zucchini, it's got this one had ground chicken, your tomato sauce already made. Don't make it from scratch if you're a busy mom. That's too much, making your own tomato sauce. So like, and then maybe some sea salt. I think that was about it. With the kids, I also did gluten-free noodles. And they had that, and I made them try the zucchini noodles. So some people asked about tips with picky eaters. Usually I'll do it like that. So the membership meal plan would be something like that, the zucchini noodle recipe. My little guy, he'll eat that. My girl, she's pretty picky, so I just boil up some gluten-free noodles. She likes everything kind of separate, so I keep some of the ground chicken separate without the sauce on it. She's got her gluten-free noodles. We always have a tray of raw veggies, so they pick at that. They pick what they want at supper, so that makes it easy for picky eaters if they don't like the vegetable that you're making or cooked vegetables. So she had gluten-free noodles, ground chicken, and then raw veggies she got to pick from. And then I always make her at least try what we're having. So she tried just the plain zucchini noodles. So that's one example. So easy recipes. If you need to tweak things a little bit to make it kid-friendly, usually I'll just kind of separate the ingredients. That's a little bit more kid-friendly. So like I mentioned that in that example. Just occasional longer recipes if you want to, if you have a little bit more time one night, and there's something you want to try out. So, but I try to keep that more rare. Keep it as simple as possible. I'm just going to look at my information and see if I missed anything. So we're close to the end, and then I've got a free meal plan for you guys. You can get started with your week. No need to sign up or anything. This one is just going to go straight to your inbox. Oh, and I didn't mention where to search recipes. So when you're making your meal plan, again, let's picture your Sunday morning, you got your coffee. I love Pinterest. So I think a lot of you, I'd be surprised if there's people not on Pinterest. I'm kind of crazy with Pinterest. I can, in the comments, I'll put my Pinterest link and you can find some recipes there if you'd like. You can type in Google to find recipes. or you can save recipes to Facebook. So if people share, quite often I'll share some recipes on Facebook. Anybody else you follow, if they share some healthy recipes, some people don't realize this. You can either share it to your page and that'll save it to your page, but you can also save that. So I think in the top corner, if you click on, I think maybe there's 3 dots, click on that and you can save it. So on my Facebook, anytime I see a recipe I want to try or maybe try and then add to the membership, I click that and I save it, and you can categorize now your saved files in Facebook. So I have a recipe section, so I'll save it to my recipes. So when I am doing a meal plan, I'll look at Pinterest, and I've got Pinterest categorized as well, and I'll look at my Facebook saved ones. Ideally with the Facebook ones, if you can keep it all in one place, that's even better. So if it's a Facebook link to a recipe, then I try to pin that to my Pinterest versus saving it, if that makes sense, so that it's kind of all in one place when you're looking for some ideas. So keywords, so say you're on Pinterest or Google, keywords to look for if you are trying to eat a little bit healthier. So most people do really well with paleo as one, so that's a keyword sometimes I'll put in. A lot of moms I've found do really well with gluten-free. I personally felt a whole lot better when I went gluten-free, and a lot of the moms in my programs in the membership are feeling a lot better gluten-free. So sometimes I'll type that in. So say I want a pancake recipe or something, type gluten-free. You can even put plant-based. I don't type that in as much, but that will bring up, usually that'll bring up vegan options. But adding in an abundance of vegetables, usually that's kind of a healthier recipe. You can type in clean as a keyword. You want to watch for low calorie, like low calorie lunches or low calorie suppers, low calorie snacks. I'm not, and I'm going to dive more into this at the end of the week. I'm not a fan of calorie counting. I actually found when I stopped, I used to be like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I used to be crazy about calorie counting and I struggled with my weight. There's a few different things that helped to change that. But once I stopped calorie counting, I focused more on the ingredients. Then I dropped the weight. Watch for low fat. Don't worry about the fat content anymore. We want a lot of healthy fats. Fat doesn't make you fat. And I'm going to talk about this. I've got a live class, a webinar, whatever you want to call it, a live training on Friday for everybody, where I'm really going to dive into all of this. So I'm not going to dive too much into it, but skip the low calorie, skip the low fat, skip the fat free. We're not concerned with that anymore. It's more about healthy, wholesome ingredients. So healthy fats, we want lots of vegetables, we want some fruits, we want complex carbs, less refined carbs, less sugar. So again, I'm going to dive into all that. I'm going to give you my exact protocol on Friday. Watch in the next couple of days. I'll give you more information on how to make sure you get to that live class. It's a free live class where I dive into exactly how I eat and why and the transformation that I had and what I did. So I think I covered, I didn't cover, so I covered suppers, some different ideas there. Breakfasts, I'll give you a few ideas. So in my membership meal plans, it's often either smoothies, pancakes. We've got a whole ebook in the membership, different pancake recipes. So if you're doing your own meal plan, if you're not in the membership, I would Google paleo pancakes or gluten-free pancakes or protein pancakes. And if you're doing pancakes, I like to do that on like a Sunday and then cool them, freeze them between parchment paper so it's easy during the week, and have that a few times. Chia pudding is another nice breakfast. It's high in healthy fats, high in fiber, high in protein. Bars, that's one of my favorite breakfasts. I have a peanut butter protein bar I talk about a lot. So easy. I like to get up early before everybody else, so I don't want to be making noise in the kitchen. So I just grab a bar from the freezer, have it with my coffee, and then usually I'm ready for like a bigger meal, kind of like mid-morning, like a more wholesome meal. But bars are a really good idea. Even breakfast cookies, some of them you got to watch for. You really don't want to have a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs in the morning, but some of them can be good. Egg muffins are something you can make ahead of time. Those are so good. A lot of them you can freeze and then just warm up. Other breakfast ideas is like a breakfast hash or a breakfast scramble. That I like more on like a Saturday or a Sunday when you have more time. Snacks, I already talked a bit about that. One last thing, don't stress if you get off track. If you get off track, just get right back to it. Get back to the meal plan that you had, or just say, okay, I'm gonna get back on track on Saturday. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna do a meal plan. I'm gonna get back to it. So don't stress if you've got a few days where you're off track, because often we stress about it and we're like, oh, I just ruined it. This is too hard. I'm just gonna quit. But just get back right on track. It happens to everybody. I get off track too. Maybe we go a few extra days without getting groceries and I just kind of like eat whatever, or we're busy, things come up and they're more priority, which I try to make this more of a priority, but it happens. So don't stress about it. Okay, so I'm going to mention the webinar. So I talked a little bit about that. This I'm really excited to share with you guys. So it's an hour-long webinar. We've got 2 times, Friday, January 11th, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time and 8:30 Central Standard Time. So that's it's like a live class where I really dive into a little bit about me and my rock bottom moments. So if you haven't heard my story, I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into it. If you haven't heard my story yet, then you'll probably find this interesting. So many moms say like, oh, that's exactly me. That exactly describes me. So I love to share about that, how I was able to make big changes, 3 simple steps to increased energy and weight loss. So I've broken it down. I've made it a lot more simple. We hear so many, there's keto diet, there's paleo, there's vegan, there's high fat. So I've broken it down to what I have found works for me in my own experimenting with my diet, in research, in my schooling with the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition, and then with my clients in case studies that I've done, and also my clients in the method and membership. So I've broken that down. So what's really going on in your body? We're going to dive into that. A sneak peek tour of my 4-week program, the Mama Recharge Method. So that's coming up on January 21st. I'm excited about that. Some of you are already in the method. If you purchased the program last year, either last January, we run it every January and usually every June. If you were in one of those, you've got lifetime access, so you can join us again for that. If you need to help with remembering your login, just let me know. Also, if you are a yearly subscriber in the membership, if you've upgraded to yearly, that's a bonus. You have access to the method program. So some of you might already be in there. If you're not in there, watch. I've got, where do I have it? I'm announcing a special offer on Friday during the webinar. So if you're not in there, you're thinking that you might really need this sort of structure and this guidance and these tools to make changes for 2019, watch for that, because I've got, and you want to watch it that day because I have bonuses that expire right after the webinar. So make sure you tune in for that. We've got a live giveaway where you can win. Make sure you're there for that. Special fast action bonuses. If you're thinking about purchasing the Mama Recharge Method, you want to watch. And then Q&As, ask me anything during that. And a bonus gift just for watching. So just for watching this one, I told you I was going to give you a bonus gift. Did I miss anything there? So yeah, Mama Recharge Method starts January 21st. I wanted to give you guys a heads up with that. I'm not going to be talking about that until Friday. I'll mention that a little bit. So schedule that in your calendar if you're already in that or if you're thinking about it. So here's our link. I will post this in the comments so it's clickable. So I'll post that right now. This is your free meal plan. So if you just want to get an idea of how I structure my meal plans, so going forward, or get some recipes in there, or if you want to have your entire week set for you, just typing this in, then this meal plan is great. So free meal plan, you just have to enter your email address and your first name and it'll go right to your inbox. No signing up or anything for membership. You can just get that meal plan. So this is a free one. If you've grabbed my free meal plan that I had before, this is a brand new one. So, and if you grab the other meal plan, you can also grab this one. So eepurl.com/. /GDGFWF. So I'm posting that, so it should be a clickable link. If you guys are trying it out, I'd love to see post on Facebook, and feel free to share that with your that link with your community or your friends. Free meal plan. I'd love to get that out there. So grab your free meal plan. We're doing that in our house this week as well. I did a couple of the recipes last week. And so yeah, every day at 10 o'clock this week, I've got, I think the next few will be a little bit shorter. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you tomorrow at 10. Bye.